Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shelf Space. Again, this weekend, some special episodes. We're the official English language watch party for Inside Iron Studios. They are revealing a ton of new statues this weekend. So, of course, we have with us today Gina from Toronto.
Hello.
We have Charles from Montreal.
Great to be here.
And myself, Kris. I'm live from Edmonton, Alberta. So across Canada and wherever you are, we're going to be following the statue reveals again today. So yesterday, pretty eventful day. They had two sessions of statue reveals. We'll just kind of go through those as we're waiting for them to go live with their today's reveals. Remember the first session we had mostly DC, a lot of Zack Snyder Justice League. Second session, we had some other stuff. We had the Peaky Blinders. We had a lot of Lord of the Rings as well. Just sort of as a recap, what stood out for you yesterday between the two, Charles?
I liked the Throne Riddler, if we can call it that. That was surprisingly impressive to look at. I did like the Warner Brothers Daffy and Bugs Batman and Superman. It was a nice venture from what we're usually used to seeing. I also like the Peaky Blinders. I thought that sculpting wise, that was the most impressive sculpt. Even though it's not something I'm particularly interested in, just looking at it from a creative aspect, I thought Peaky Blinders looked really, really. Sorry, what was the name again?
Peaky Blinders.
Okay, Peaky Blinders. Just wanted to make sure I got it right.
Yep.
That was the most impressive looking sculpt. That was what I think I took away from it. Those three.
Yeah, I thought just quickly here we got John Band from Chicago.
What up from Chicago?
Thanks for joining us today, John. Chicago is a place on my hit list once travel gets opened up here again.
It's beautiful. I've been quite a bit.
You've been there?
It's beautiful.
I want to go to a Cubs game so bad. I love baseball, and Wrigley Field is at the top of my list probably right now. I've been to all the other stadiums I want to go to.
You gonna throw shade to the White Sox? Come on.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, if they were both in town, if I could find a time when they're both in town and I'm there, I'd go to both. I would love that. There's nothing better than a baseball game, on a weekend to kill some time. So, anyways, Gina, what stood out for you yesterday as statue-wise?
Yeah, yesterday it was that cave troll, and I think and the surrounding orcs that you can buy with it as well, and you could truly make an awesome diorama. I just love the sculpt of that cave troll. They showed every little fold of the skin, every little crinkle, every little nuances of the skin was just sculpted so well, and you could just make your own little diorama there. So that really stood out to me. And then I would say maybe the Thundercats, Mumra. We got to see all the villains, Mumra in the center, and then you've got all these villains where, I mean, you can sort of call them like C-list characters, some of them. I mean, I'd never seen the Jackal in any collectible form. I remember him as a toy figure years ago when I was growing up. But to see these little sort of C-list characters, I would call them, little villains and at the side, Mumra's little minions, done in statue form, it was just amazing. It came out of left field for me. I was like, wow. So I give Iron Studios kudos to sort of delving deep in that Thundercats niche and really serving the fan base well there.
Yeah, that was like I said, with this 110 scale line, I think they've really found a niche for themselves, and they're able to do that and go deep into these character vaults and give characters that you just don't see from other companies. Quickly, again, we've got Popverse from Brazil watching us on the English feed. So welcome, Popverse.
I wanted to add one thing to what both of you were saying. Just from a company standpoint, the commitment to the line was something that stood out. So it wasn't like, let's just show one character from the Lord of the Rings. Let's just show one character from Thundercats. They showed you like 10. Right. So, you can feel confident that you're going to have enough to have a display, an impressive display. So that's something we don't usually see, right? When other companies do something, you'll see the Superman, the Batman, the Wonder Woman, and then you'll wonder, are they going to do a Flash? Are they going to do a Green Lantern? Are they? And
Yeah.
what you saw yesterday was like, yeah, it looks like we're going to try to get around to as many of them as possible. And you know what? We've already sculpted them. So that was one of the other takeaways from a company standpoint, right?
Yeah, that's really cool. We got Child of the Atom watching us here. So glad to have you. Looks like they're going to get started here with the reveals soon. Yeah, I thought the Lord of the Rings, I was thinking about it last night, really is kind of intriguing because I'm thinking about their Sentinel line with the X-Men. They've got the 3 dioramas with the big Sentinel and all the X-Men fighting it. Could you do something like that with Lord of the Rings? Right? Could you have the Ents attacking the tower, Saruman's tower? Could you have, the Helm's Deep battle somehow? Or I forget the name of the big white city. It's been a while since I watched the movies, but could you have that battle from the 3rd movie? Or the one with the big wall into Mordor, where they fight there. So there's lots of potential there for that line, I think, if they want to go there.
If they keep it affordable, all sky's the limits, right?
Yeah,
Because we were
exactly.
talking about yesterday, like these 10th scale were in between the $150 and $200 range.
Yeah, they tend to be in that range. Yeah, so I mean, you could get for the price of one quarter scale, what those are going for these days, or a 1/3 scale, you can get almost an entire team of 110.
Yes, that's very true.
Gondor, yeah. So yeah, Pop versus Gondor. So that's what I'm thinking of. From the 3rd movie, yeah. All the names from Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings. Like the movies are fantastic. I've read the books and stuff, but the names all mashed together. There's a lot of similar sounding things in
That is
some of
very
those characters. True. Yeah. So yeah, that stood out to me. And the Riddler was nice. I like the Superman with the cape. Like the little Superman Unleashed was pretty cool. And I think we're going to be seeing a few of those again today. As kind of a recap, some of the more popular ones are going to be reshowing some of those. So we're going to look at some of those.
Maybe with some switch ups this time, if there are.
Yeah, and they did also announce some new licenses that are so new they don't have anything to show. Some of them being Ninja Turtles. So they got the Ninja Turtles license. They've got, I think, Charles, one that you were interested in is Kiss.
Absolutely. What we saw were the covers of the solo albums from 1978. They had solo albums with just their faces on the covers. Mm-hmm. It would be very interesting to see what that's going to look like. So it's probably a Live 2 era, Love Gun era. But I don't know if these are 10th scale or quarter scale or whatever. But Kiss is a license that always seems to do well. It's incredible. It's like the fans can never get enough of the Kiss license. And it's not always the same people. Usually a lot of bands don't have a generational quality to them. Like, you have people who loved Led Zeppelin, but not a lot of kids today will resonate with that. Mm-hmm. But Kiss seems to be like a multi-generational band where people from the 70s like them, the 80s and 90s, today. It's incredible how their music seemed to resonate with so many people. But in terms of statues, yeah, always interested in seeing what they can come up with. And Gene Simmons is very involved in his in the merchandising of the band too.
Yeah. Okay, so Child of the Atom says Minas Tirith is the name of the castle in Lord of the Rings. Gondor is the territory. I'll take your word for it. It sounds right. Sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. But just to what Charles was saying, I do imagine I suspect that the Kiss figures would be in 1/10 because it follows that that same sort of goal of being able to collect all. They make them all pretty affordable, and then you can collect the entire band, and then you could sort of display them as almost like a concert. And so it would make perfect sense for a band to be in 1/10. Makes it affordable for you to buy all of them, put them together. Display wise, it's easy to display. So it should make Kiss fans pretty happy.
Yeah, it should be interesting. It's too bad that we're all the with all the previews that we saw, the sneak peek pics that we've seen over the weekend. I think, if I remember correctly, Kiss was the only one where you just saw pictures of covers of the albums. You didn't actually see any prelim design or anything, but
yeah. And also quickly, remember they showed those versus screens, and fans could vote on which statue they wanted. They did announce the winners, so that's already done. They've got it was Batman Beyond versus Nightwing. Recall?
I'm guessing sorry, go on.
Batman Beyond won that, so they'll be making Batman Beyond.
I was gonna say Nightwing would have won that. Okay.
Remember, it was Booster Gold versus Blue Beetle. Any guesses who won that?
Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle won that, so they'll be making Blue Beetle. We had Zatanna and Raven.
I'll say Zatanna.
Yeah, I would. Gina? Yeah, I would go with Zatanna.
It's Raven.
Oh, geez. No. Yep. 1 for 2? 1 and 2.
Yep. And then we had Supergirl versus Cyborg Superman was the
Supergirl.
I say Cyborg Superman.
Supergirl took that one.
Yep. Okay.
So those are the 4 they're going to be making in their next DC Comics series. They also announced that there's going to be an exclusive piece of the Scarecrow in that series 8. It is for DC Comics. So just some news for you there.
Yeah. And someone's happy that Raven got picked.
Well, in all fairness to the way Iron Studios has been presenting themselves this year and in the past, I have a feeling, don't worry, I imagine Zatanna's eventually going to come, just not sooner than Raven.
I'm guessing perhaps Raven got chosen because we've already seen some of the Zatanna collectibles already in the pipeline from different companies, and then Raven would be a little bit more wanted and unique, and so maybe that's why that one got chosen. Or maybe people just prefer that character. I don't know.
You know what? I think it is. I think it's the new Teen Titans cartoon series. That's got to be why people like Raven better. The new Teen Titans Go to the Movies is what's got people fired up. You still haven't seen it, Gina?
I had recorded it on my DVR. I don't know if it's still there.
They have these songs, like they're always breaking into these songs.
Okay,
and some of them are just hilarious. And they've got in the first movie, one of the characters, not one of the Teen Titans, but another character in the show is voiced by Michael Bolton. Okay. So you got Michael Bolton singing this just ridiculous song. I forget what it's called. It's called upbeat, inspirational something or other, right?
Okay.
It's just hilarious. Like these songs just crack me right up. So it's worth a watch.
I will watch it. I will watch it one of these days. I do believe I have it recorded on my DVR, so I'll watch it one of these days. If you want to do
something fun with regards to this Teen Titan movies, just go to YouTube and just put Teen Titans Stan Lee. It's that one little clip in the film where he's in it. And of course, it's DC, right?
Yeah,
so there's an ongoing joke in that scene about it. But it doesn't matter because Stan Lee, and it is his voice, going like, I love cameos. He doesn't care where the cameo is.
There's this scene where they go back in time and try to erase the other superheroes so that Robin becomes the number one superhero. I'll maybe finish that off later because they're going to show one. But it's great. And actually, this is a good segue because they use some of the Back to the Future music and stuff for that scene. Right? So,
there we go.
So here we go. We've got Back to the Future 3.
Yeah.
There we go.
Doc Brown.
Do you remember that scene in Back to the Future 3 and he's in that saloon and he wants to seem tough The guy goes, "So what's your name?" And he goes, "Clint Eastwood."
Yeah.
And the guy responds, goes, "What kind of pussy name is that?"
Yeah. I love Back to the Future so much. We like literally we have a like a movie night every weekend with the kids, and so we rotate who picks the movies every week, right? So I get 1 week, then my kids get 1 week, and whatever. We've watched Back to the Future so many times. They love it. I love it.
Which
One of my
one?
favorite movies.
All of them, or
All of them. The first one's the
Yeah.
best one.
it is? Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get the second one and part three. Part three is probably my least favorite, but the Western theme is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just
They
great
all had a
movies.
lot of fun. Everyone was great in that film. No, there was no weak part. Would have been nice to have had the dad in all the films, but
Yeah, the third
Yeah.
one. They were missing some of the cast
Yeah.
from the previous ones, but it was still good. I just like how they leave the Easter eggs in each episode or each movie. There was always some hint at where they were going next.
so
How they
this
tie
one,
together is seamless.
yeah. So this 1/10 scale. Did we get a sense that these were all separate figures? The car, Doc Brown, Marty.
They did do one. I'll just look it up here while we're talking. They did one for part 2, I think.
Yeah, they did
And I
one for
think
part 2.
I believe it was a diorama with you could get it all as one set.
They're all together.
I'll look it up just one sec.
Yeah.
You might be able to get them separately as well. It might be both.
But I know you can buy them as a set. Or at least the part 2 one you could. So I imagine that the part 3 you can buy as a set as well.
You built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're just talking about it. So it looks like they do offer a full set as well.
Yeah, and the part 2, like Gina just said, you can get the set, the deluxe version. It's called quite pricey for all three. So it's the Doc Brown and his mirrored glasses and the yellow coat and the hoverboard and everything. So that's you can get part 2, and so this looks. I would assume this is similar. So yeah, they've broken away Marty and Doc here. So yeah, you can probably get this separate.
I
don't think you can get a part 3 DeLorean anywhere else, right? Collectible.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, so maybe this is one of the first time that it's been.
It's always.
Available.
I think for most people, I'm speculating here. Part 3 is number 3 on the list. You're going to order them. Number 3 is going to be third for most people.
Yeah.
So that's probably why we've never seen it. But still, I think there's enough of a market here for to have the DeLorean from all 3 next to each other or something. That would be pretty cool.
Nice detail there. Looks like they actually do have wiring.
Yeah. Yeah, we got the Mr. Fusion on the back, the railroad tracks, and the railroad wheels.
I imagine the door can open and close too.
Yeah, that would be neat. Yeah, so this is cool. I love Back to the Future.
Some weathering on the DeLorean as well.
I mean, I could see people perhaps just buying just the DeLorean.
Yep.
Because then they can have a sort of a set of different DeLoreans. They can have one from the first, second, and third film, and sort of.
Yeah, I've got not an Iron Studios one. I've got a DeLorean that hovers. It's one of those magnetic things that it kind of floats.
Yeah.
So it's the part 2 DeLorean, and it's really cool. I should get that out. So I have it boxed up somewhere. I don't have any room to put it, but
that should be illegal. As we were talking about, there's one scene in Back to the Future Part 2 that always makes me laugh. When all the kids have their pockets inside out.
Yeah.
Pockets are. It goes, oh well, that's what they're doing today. It just always floors me, that particular scene.
What scene really gets me, because I actually remember I was there. My parents took me to see the very first film in the theaters, and ever since then, the scene I always remember is Marty walking into the diner, and he has his orange vest, and them thinking it looks like a life preserver. I would never, from years, never forget that joke. Ever when I was a kid, I died laughing in the theater with that.
Hey,
And
kids, you just jump ship?
yeah, you work for the Coast Guard. I think someone
Yeah.
asked if you work for the
Yeah.
Coast Guard. Never. I mean, for all these years,
He's
it's
like,
the
what
one.
the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. and then,
Oh,
and then
man.
it sort of like clicks in your head. You're like, oh yeah, I guess back in the 50s that vest would look quite odd, right? But people calling him, do you work for the Coast Guard? And
Yeah, there were a lot of great things. Like when he did that guitar solo on stage, and then the mom goes, "Marty, that was very interesting music."
Yeah. I love that part. And that's one of the things about part 3, because they have that jamboree thing in part 3, but Marty doesn't get up and play the guitar. That would have been great if they had him do some kind of guitar solo with these banjos or something in the Old West. I think that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Just to tie everything together, right?
Yeah, that film is just a full of great ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a timeless one. That's like a lot of these old movies that I try to get my kids to watch. They're like, "Oh, this sucks, Dad." Like,
Really, eh?
but Back to the Future, they love it.
Yeah.
They love it.
I tried to get my brother to watch Top Gun,
Oh,
and I guess I hyped it too much.
mhm.
I said, "What?" I said, "You haven't seen Top Gun? It's and the awesomeness of it," and I hyped it too much. So I think like I don't know, like a week later, he is talking to me. He's like, "Oh, by the way, I watched Top Gun, and yeah, it doesn't date
Yeah.
too." And I was like, "What? It's one of the greatest films ever. You got to be kidding me."
Yeah, some of them don't age as
They just
well
they
for
don't
the younger
understand.
generations.
They just don't. No, I just think I think they're missing something. It's not the film. I think they're the ones that are missing something. They can't.
It's got to be them. No,
It's got to be them.
Yeah, the ones. Yeah, Back to the Future holds up well, and Predator holds up pretty well. They like that one too. So,
Is there, Kris? Is there ever sort of arguments for movie night? And
yeah. Well, another one that they watch all the time is Jumanji, the newer ones with The Rock.
I like those.
And it's like, really? Again? We got to watch Jumanji again? But hey, they whoever's night it is, they get to watch it. So,
Okay.
yeah, so there's sometimes it's like, oh, God. Especially like over the past year and a bit when there weren't new movies coming out. So we're kind of watching the same old movies that we've always watched. And it was Jumanji and Jumanji again. And we'll watch Jumanji 2. And then,
Oh man.
yeah.
That's
So
that's one rule though I have for me. It's like when I'm with my nieces, I'm like, we're not watching the same movie again. We got to choose something else. I mean, you've got you've got a library of thousands of movies here on Netflix and Disney Plus and this and this. We're going to choose something else and let's just watch something else. But
yeah, now that the newer movies are out in theaters and coming out on Blu-ray and stuff, like this weekend we watched Shang-Chi, which just came out on Blu-ray. So finally getting some new additions to the list.
Yeah.
You got some more details of the DeLorean.
Yeah.
It looks like they went pretty intense with the details on this piece.
Yeah, it looks like they're really going on the hard sell with this one. A lot of time and energy clearly put into putting this one together. So we're probably looking at what, because I'm looking at some of the comments. The last one was 2,500.
I'm just looking it up. Yeah, on Sideshow, they're still available for pre-order. The deluxe set of the part 2 was $2,250.
And that's two characters in the car.
Two characters in the car. The car by itself was $2,050. So
wow,
you do save a little bit by going with all three because the characters themselves by themselves are $160.
What
And
is
that's for part
what are
2.
the dimensions of the car? Can you see?
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. So the part 2 car is about just under 23 inches long.
Okay, so you're talking 2 feet. This isn't. Yeah.
And they say it weighs 35 pounds.
Wow.
and about 15 inches deep. So it's a big
Yeah,
car.
it's pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah. So the price is making sense for today.
Yeah.
I guess so. Now they did a couple years ago. They did the Batmobile, and I had a chance to see it at. This is the 1989 Batmobile,
Hmm.
and I saw it at Comic Con. They had it on display, and it was pretty big. It was probably a couple feet long, and pretty beefy piece, and the price to match, of course.
That was such a cool car. The
It is.
1989
Yeah,
Batmobile.
we touched on that yesterday. Yeah, right. That's for me easily the number one Batmobile. Like it's not even close.
Yeah, better than the Val Kilmer and um,
The Tumbler thing.
yeah.
Um,
I wasn't a fan of the Tumbler. I
no, it was
realized
weird. It was a weird one.
Dark Knight Returns comic books, the Miller Tumbler that was in there, but it looked kind of big and clunky. It was effective for what it needed to do, but it didn't look cool in my eyes.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. That's for sure. The 89 Batmobile, and then the Batwing. Like, how cool was that? I remember watching that movie for the first time, and they pulls out the Batwing. I'm like, oh my god, this thing's the greatest thing I've ever seen. The Batwing, and he flies up to the moon.
To the moon.
And that's the Bat logo. And then the Joker pulls out this stupid gun out of his pants that's like 4 feet long and just blows it right out of the sky. I was so like my jaw hit the floor. I was like, this is so stupid. Why? How could the Joker possibly take down this incredible Batwing? I just drove me nuts.
Tim Burton has always been borderline campy, right? In everything he does, where he doesn't take himself too seriously. It's just par for the course in everything. Mars Attacks, Beetlejuice, everything. Edward Scissorhands. Ed Wood. There's always something campy about what he did. Almost like he had it in mind. I want kids to have fun watching this too.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. Not at that part, anyways.
It was a very Warner Brothers, right? Like, Warner Brothers, the Bugs Bunny cartoons, you would see that. A scene like that. So what we got here?
Oh, Vision.
So this is 1/4 scale.
Yeah. So
WandaVision.
I wonder if this is is this unpainted, or are they releasing it like that?
Well, this is the white version. They have previously shown the Wanda and the blue, or sorry, the green and red Vision, like this version. So this is the white version of it.
So kind of a sheer.
Yeah, the cape. I think the people setting these out. I mean, I'm sure they're doing it kind of quickly here on the fly, but put a little more effort into posing those capes. It's a posable cape, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what it can do.
So, I kind of feel the same way about this as I did with the Lord of the Rings. There's like it looks like a simplistic design.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going overboard on detail. I imagine it will be reflected in the price.
Now, have you two watched WandaVision?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have not seen it. Now, the interesting thing about White Vision is when I was sort of just getting into comics real big when I was a kid, so like late 80s, early 90s, Vision was white. So the green and red Vision was the old Vision, and I was like, who's this guy, right? And now he's kind of gone back to that. This is actually the Vision that I kind of identify with, is the White Vision. But I don't really know the character that well, and why he turned white and versus green.
I can explain it to you very briefly.
Sure.
In the early 200s of the Avengers, the Vision kind of went crazy and took over all the computers in the world. NORAD, everything. So he could have started a nuclear war, and no one could have stopped him. And people didn't see this coming. The government kind of freaked out and said, we got to dismantle this thing. So they actually got the Vision and dismantled him, and someone put him back together as this emotionless android, and that's what he became.
That's the White Vision. So is that similar to what happened in the show? I don't think we can. I don't think we have to worry about spoilers here. It's been out for a while.
I think in the show, the Vision.
It was in I think in the show he was pieced together by the government.
Yeah,
And then he
Southern Comic Geek. It is a good one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think he was pieced together by the government, and then I think he started to remember who he was, and he kind of left. But when he left, he sort of gave the impression that he was remembering who he was, and he was going to perhaps turn good now. So he left on in the show. He left on terms of where perhaps his character is going to come back again, and this is the new version of Vision. In the MCU. I think that's the impression we got.
Yeah. Well, there were two Visions in the Wanda show.
But one was just her like imagination.
Yeah.
Or her or it was her sort of recreation. The other was the one that the government put all the pieces together and created. But what they pieced together eventually was the White Vision, and he eventually started to remember who he was. And it seems like that's going to be the new version of Vision that we're going to get in the MCU. So I do expect that we'll probably see this character show up again, and perhaps in the movies, right? And it's going to blow people's minds, and like, oh, he's back,
That concept of Wanda creating this safe world for her, it just showed how incredibly powerful her chaos magic is. Right, because in the comic books they kind of touched upon that, where she had two children and everyone kind of went along with it, but they only existed when she was thinking about them. So she would actually hire babysitters and caretakers for her children, but her children would disappear from time to time, and the babysitter would go crazy. It was only like later that it was finally explained that her children only existed when she thought of them, and when it finally came to light that this was all in her imagination, she went crazy.
But then I think what they did in the MCU is they made it whereas her children are in some sort of multiverse, right? That's how they did it. They're not in the real world, but they're in a multiverse somewhere in different dimensions somehow. So they're not part of this world. That's how they left the show.
Yeah.
So it's almost, I guess, in a way, it's the MCU version of trying to do that as well, Charles. I guess I'm guessing they're not really real here.
Yeah. So that's the Doctor Strange movie leading up to that. The whole multiverse concept.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting
and she's already been sort of announced that she's going to be in the Doctor Strange movie, so it should be interesting.
Right. And I think they're touching upon the whole multiverse idea in the new Spider-Man movie too, right?
Did you get your tickets, Charles? Did you get your tickets?
No, it doesn't work like that in Montreal. You could kind of like the craziness for seats and tickets.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen in Montreal. You could just go the day of the show and.
Because here it's all like sold out. I didn't realize the hype. Oh, here we go. Here's a new story.
Lady Deathstrike. So part of their X-Men line. And this X-Men line, it's like this is the Iron Studios version of the Jelly of the Month Club. Like from Christmas Vacation. It's the gift that keeps on giving, because they have like new X-Men literally almost every month, right? So now we got another villain added to this diorama that just keeps growing. Really, really cool. I mean, this is the prime example of getting deep into the character catalog. Have you ever seen another company do a Blob or a Pyro or a Forge or
Omega Red?
Name the characters.
Yeah. I figured Child of the Atom would be happy to see this.
The only time I saw Blob and what was the other character? Pyro, Bowen bust. But no, wait.
Yeah, Bowen might have done those. Yeah, but way back in the day, Bowen seemed to do everybody too. But they've got Warpath now. Just about any X-Men you can think of has been done.
Yeah.
What's great about the X-Men is I find that in terms of gender, it's probably the most as close to evenly balanced world that there is in Marvel. It seems like there are almost as many women as there are men, and it was never an issue.
Yeah,
Right? And
yeah, because you know what? That's a good point, because I'm reading through all the older stuff, the 80s X-Men through the omnibuses. And yeah, you're right. I mean, Cyclops leaves the team, and
But
who's in
then
charge? Was Storm,
Storm was in charge
right?
of the other
So they
time. Yeah.
put a female in charge of the team. I imagine at that time was kind of a not the norm, right?
um,
So
yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned that. Did you read issue 201 where there was like a split in the team? Who's going to lead the team? Some people wanted Storm, some people wanted Cyclops. So they kind of had like a battle with one another. And at the time, Storm didn't have any of her powers, right? She was completely powerless. So she
oh, you
only
know
had
what? I
her
think I'm
will.
coming up on that part. Yeah,
Oh,
this is where
all
it's
right.
like Punk Storm, and she lost her powers. I'm at the point now where she has no powers. She
Okay,
meets up with Forge, and the government hunts her down and takes away her powers and stuff. Yeah,
so it's an issue 201, and it's one of the best X-Men issues, best Storm issues, because she has to face the Cyclops with all his powers.
yeah.
So, and it really showed her leadership and her savvy, and which she always had, but they didn't always showcase it as much. Wolverine, X-Men became Wolverine's book at one point, and everyone kind of was downplayed. Um, but the other characters like Kitty Pryde, Rogue, and Storm, it was impossible to keep them down, right? Because they were great and they were rich and they offered so much. So when you get to issue 201, I think you're gonna like it.
Yeah, Kitty's a character that I don't think has been added to this line, so I wonder if she'll get added at some point, unless I just missed her. But I don't think she's come out yet. That's a character that I want. Is Kitty. I think she's, like you said, she's a pretty important character. And back when back in those 80s books,
Right.
she's focused on a lot. And Rogue as well, when she first joins the team.
As a former enemy, right? That was almost like never done.
Yeah.
Right? She was a former enemy who once tried to kill them. But she came to the X-Men as a villain for help. Right? So X-Men was always ahead of the game at that point, challenging themes that none of the other books were doing.
Oh, they're saying Kitty is made. She's on the third diorama. Well, here's another one, Domino. Okay, so another character added to the list. And Domino's a cool character.
Yeah.
It's very interesting here because this strikes me as one of the Marvel regulations. If you're going to have guns, they can't be pointing at you, right? She can't be looking at you and going like this, but she can go like that.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a very nice looking piece. I kind of like the dynamic of it. The hope is it doesn't lean over time.
With the 110 stuff, it's way less likely.
Yeah.
They just don't weigh that much. Yeah, Kitty is on the Sentinel Diorama 3, so my bad there. She has been made. Yeah, Domino looks cool.
Looks cool.
So would you consider Domino, is she still a B-lister?
Yeah, I think so.
I would think she's a B-lister.
Domino and Lady Deathstrike. I think if you're an X-Men fan or a Mutant World fan, I think you got a little bit of spoiling just now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I thought that this was a nice looking character. Kind of looked at. Did you ever see The Warriors? The movie?
Maybe?
No, I haven't seen it. I know of it, but
there was
a
gang. They were kind of like a baseball player gang. They kind of had makeup like that. It was very impressive. So whenever I see Luda, I think of those characters from The Warriors.
A couple people pretty excited about this one. So I wonder, if they're going to tap into the entire X-Force as well. I think they've got a Cable. I don't know if they've got like a Shatterstar and a Warpath was part of the X-Force at a time, I believe. So maybe they'll do the whole X-Force team. Let's see if there's a Shatterstar.
So once again, getting a fine detail on a 10th scale statue is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Some areas are just going to look rough. It seems like it's very hard to avoid that.
Yeah, so Jerry says you can't look where you're shooting. I think that's sort of for whatever reason, that's the rule that Marvel has come up with
Yeah.
on collectibles.
Oh.
You can't show them pointing a gun at something. You can't show a hero like defeated on the base, so you can't have like Thanos holding Silver Surfer up by the neck or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's bizarre things. Yet I can go open up a Punisher comic and watch him murder 30 people in the book. So,
But not in statue form.
but I can't have him pointing a gun on my shelf.
Jerry, we had that conversation with one of the other statue companies with their cable, and they said our hands are tied. If we do it, they're not going to let us produce it. So,
Yep.
it is what it is. At least you can have the gun over your shoulder. You can have the gun pointed outwards. It might look nonsensical, but that's the Marvel way for now. It's the same thing.
Yeah. So like you said here, you're not allowed to look where you're pointing the gun. Is my understanding of the rule.
Yeah, but if
then
you
that
want to
would
take,
imply you're going to shoot at something.
yeah, but if you want to take sort of a silver lining to it, I think it just gives the sculptors and the designers, more incentive to make a creative pose.
Yeah.
And to make and to make a more unique pose.
No smoking either. And we touched on that with Constantine yesterday. I didn't have the cigarette.
Right.
I think DC is following suit that way. It's just the way it is.
It's just the way it is. But
very long time though. It's not like it's 10 years ago. The
last smoking thing's been a while.
The last time I saw Ben Grimm with a cigar in his mouth, I think that was Bowen. It was a Bowen bust. You're talking 20 years ago. It's not like last year. It's 20 years. So,
and we're not going to get Gambit with a cigarette.
Smoking,
we're not going to get Wolverine with a cigarette, but that's okay. I mean, it just gives the sculptors and the designers more incentive to make a different type of pose and a different design. It gives them a challenge.
So I keep on seeing this Loki throne piece on this presenter's table. Is this something new? Is this something that's been previewed already?
It's like one of those event exclusive things. I don't know if it's new or not. I'll try and dig into it. Here we got another, looks like an Avenger of some kind.
Oh yeah, alligator Loki. That is funny. Display alligator Loki with frog Thor. Thor frog.
Yeah, I don't see the Iron Suit of Loki on throne.
Yeah, they got they got the scale sculpted very nicely.
Yeah, I think this will some people will buy this one because it's just so unique, and it would be something that will be produced now, right? I don't think many companies would take the risk 10 years from now to do this, or at least not many would.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like an interesting thing, and they kind of, oh, there it is. Did you see the frog Thor? It's in the jar.
It's in the jar? Okay.
Yeah. That's a so that's like an additional incentive to get this one.
Okay, I have not watched Loki. I'm assuming you two have both watched Loki on Disney Plus. So what's the deal with all these extra Lokis? Fill me in.
They're all from the different multiverses, or they're all from their own different universes. And then our Loki, I guess I'll call him Prime Loki, near the end of the series, he gets to meet them and realizes, oh my goodness, there's all these different Lokis. And they're all sort of in their own way, very much Loki-esque,
mm-hmm.
Conniving and yeah.
So none of them are like superheroes, so to speak. So it was an interesting scene because what's his name? Grant. What's his first name?
Richard E. Grant.
Right.
Yeah. He's an amazing actor. Yeah.
He's one of the Lokis, and he's wearing like the classic Kirby costume from the 60s and the 70s.
Mhm.
And it was very interesting to see. Like I imagine someone's going to do it where they're going to reenact that scene or do that scene in sculpture form where you get all the multiverse Lokis. I doubt the Richard Grant Loki is gone. We're going to see him again in some form, in some way.
I think so. And there was a pretty big fan reaction to him. So I'm guessing as well too that he hopefully will be back. But it'll be really cool to see Iron Studios do him as well. So
If anybody
Yeah,
would,
I'll be honest. Once things, I don't know if we talked about this on air yesterday, if we were just chatting about it, I don't know, as an aside. But once comics or TV shows start getting into this multiverse, that's sort of when I'd start to check out. So I'm wondering, I'm curious to see how Marvel does it. Am I going to stay, invested in it after they hit this multiverse stage or not? I don't know.
my guess is this, and I could be wrong, of course. My guess is this: is that they're going to do one of those Crisis on Infinite Earths thing, where they'll kind of put the kibosh on everything or close the door on everything and make it just one universe because you're not alone in what you're feeling. All right.
but you know what though? But oh wow, look at that.
So this is part of their MiniCo line. So these are the vinyl ones that you were talking about yesterday, Gina.
Yeah, I got the Wonder Woman one right here.
Oh, so you're looking at 6 inches or something.
Yeah, they're really well
I've got
made.
I've got a little Lobo with his dog in that style. And they're cool. These are about, $30 in that range.
Yeah.
So very affordable. They're kind of I call them a kind of a Funko Pop alternative. That kind of style, that kind of market, I think. And you'll find these MiniCos in random stores that you wouldn't expect. They're kind of everywhere. So definitely more of a mainstream thing. And some of them are pretty cool.
It's really cool.
So he's got the Wakanda Forever sign. Yeah, Black Panther's one of the sequel. I'm interested to see how they manage that, because they've said they're not replacing the actor.
Yeah.
Right. So I wondered, is the multiverse a way to do that?
Would
they bring in an alternate universe Black Panther to take over, or is it going to be his sister that takes over? Or I'm curious.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sympathetic to the idea, of not wanting to replace the actor. But what if the actor was playing Superman, or if the actor was playing Batman? That's it. You don't get other actors to play the role.
Yeah, I'm a little torn on it myself. I like you said, I see where they're coming from. I mean, it was very sudden, kind of unexpected death for most people. So there's this want and need to sort of honor that actor, right? But at the same time, Black Panther has to live on, right? He has
people loved Christopher Reeve, right?
Yeah.
And what happened to him was also tragic. We'll see what happens. I think Black Panther will eventually be recast. It's just too rich a character to just not have in film or TV.
Yeah.
So it's just a question of people just need a mourning process.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait to see what they do. I'm sure they meaning the producers and the studio heads already have a plan laid out. So I'm just gonna wait and see what they have. So something different.
Oh, you got a light up feature on this. Okay, so here's the 110 scale.
Yeah.
Black Panther. So similar.
Same pose. That's smart. So you can sort of pose. You can kind of put them together, and that is really nice.
And you get to see kind of a mock Wakanda.
Yeah.
The base
claws out.
Made out of his necklace in a way.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, this looks cool.
And it's really cool. And despite it all, despite the suit being all black, you could put so much more detail in that.
The look of this, I like more than the look of the figure we just saw. I like that it's black and silver. You see more contrast in the coloring here than you did in the piece we just saw.
Yeah, this is the more realistic take on things for sure. But I like this one. It's
Yeah, I
simple.
like this one a lot. Yeah.
Simple pose, and you get, as I said yesterday, I like to see the whole suit, and I like to see the face. So however they pose it, if I get those two things, I'm interested, and this looks pretty cool. Black Panther for me, anyways, was a character I didn't follow real close as a kid, but I always thought he looked cool.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah.
The Panther.
You might not know this, but in the early 70s, they changed Black Panther's name to Black Leopard. He was Black Leopard in Fantastic Four in the early 200s. Why? Because at the time, the Black Panthers were considered a terrorist group.
Oh,
So
really?
they changed the name of the character Black Panther to Black Leopard. So he was Black Leopard for a couple of years, and then they reverted him back to Black Panther. Very, very interesting time in comics. Why I'm saying that is because we think today, we're so touched by the media and how people are offended. It's not a new thing. This has been going on for as long as I could remember. And the early 70s, I wasn't even around reading those comics, so it was an issue dealing with.
I didn't know they changed his name.
Yeah, Black Leopard. And
That's
it sounds strange, right?
It doesn't sound right. Yeah, it just doesn't sound right. Black Leopard.
So is this the first time? Is this the first time that we have a 1/10 scale with a light up feature? I'm trying to remember if another 1/10 scale from Iron Studios has a light up feature. I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember. The one
Yeah.
the ones that might have had it would be, I would think, like a Hulkbuster or something. But I honestly, I don't know the answer to that. Let me do some digging.
I can't think of anything that came up with a light feature. I think 1/10 scale usually has it in their mind. We're affordable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So adding nooks and crannies or doodads and gadgets isn't really what the line is generally known for.
Yeah. I think that Black Panther is probably my favorite I've seen today.
We're hearing that the Infinity War Thanos had a light up feature.
Okay.
Okay. No, that would make sense.
Yeah, so Gary Grails, thanks for the tip. He also says exactly what we've been kind of echoing throughout the weekend. They're easy to afford, they're more affordable, and take up less space. Right? Those are the two key elements from this 1/10 line. And
Janice
as we can see,
the Thundercats had a light feature.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think
it's
I
not
think that
that.
yeah, I think that Black Panther is probably my favorite I've seen today.
Yeah, cool. I just remember I had in the first series of Marvel cards, those were huge for me. I would go like once a week with my allowance and buy a pack of Marvel cards. And the Black Panther one, he's like jumping out of this jungle, and like the costume is just very simple. It's just all black. Something about that was just awesome for me. I loved that costume. So I've always thought he was a cool looking character. I was happy when they announced him coming into the MCU and that, but he's not a character that I have a rich knowledge of his history. So 1/10, so he pairs them up with his bigger statues. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I've got the 1/10 Daredevil, so I have that with a bunch of other Daredevil statues of different sizes, so I can see that.
I've never been able to do that. I find that I kind of pair my scales with each other. Putting a 10th scale next to a 3rd scale, my OCD would just go completely crazy.
We all have our things.
What I can do in my display is I'm not overly anal about who I display with who. So, for example, I can have a Cable statue displayed next to a Black Bolt. Like I'm not going to go nuts with that. I can even have a Joker statue displayed next to a Thanos.
Oh my
as
God.
long as, because
Mm.
I just kind of look at it as a comics universe. Like I don't go out of my way to do that, but being how competitive there is for display space in my house,
Mhm.
that I find a way to make it work in my brain. Okay, so Captain America, Sam Wilson, Captain America. This is nice. This is
This is
a
cool.
Yeah.
cool looking. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, this works for me.
It's huge. So it works. It works in 1/10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is probably something that you wouldn't be able to do in 1/4. It
You
just looks
couldn't.
too big.
Yeah.
But it's
And
very clever, right? In the sense that the wingspan is vertical,
yep.
right? So you're not. Was it Iron Studios that released the that Hawkman with the wingspan? That was like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So doing it this way, this is actually a very dynamic piece. This is the standout for me today.
Hmm.
The
So
shield on the back looks good.
Yeah.
Looks very metallic, like a very metallic finish to it.
Some people are already commenting how dynamic it is. Yeah.
yeah,
So they've announced that there's going to be a Captain America 4, correct? With
Sam Wilson
yeah,
and Stan.
kind of a sequel to, I guess, the Disney Plus series in a way. So
The Anthony Mackie, right? I find out of all the Marvel Universe characters, his personality is so big that it's hard to separate him from the characters that he plays because it's so space taking. I wonder if sometimes that works against some of the roles that he takes. But this works. This is a very, very nice piece. I wonder who sculpted this. This is a very nice eye.
yeah, I like this one too. This
Yeah.
is really cool.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and think that this is not going to be in the 200 range. I think that
Yeah.
Probably not. Yeah, the wings. There's a lot more there than the typical one, like compared to the
Yeah.
Black Panther that we just saw, for example. So he might be a little bit more money.
yeah, I think they kept the best for last today.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that one a lot.
So just quickly, like these people on the show, these are just like guests. They're not actually working for Iron Studios.
That's right. Yeah, the guy at the desk, his name is Marcello Basoli. He works for Iron Studios. So he hosts this whenever they do these events. He's always the host, and he does some other work in the background and behind the scenes with Iron Studios. Two people on the couch, I don't believe work for them. I've never seen them before. So the guy in the back, maybe, I don't know. Like yesterday on yet one of yesterday's shows, they had a girl sitting in the back. She works for Iron Studios. She's one of their social media people. You'll see her in different videos and things that they post on Instagram and that. So
Just as a quick aside, even though we're not talking about statues, I think it's great that you have this industry is so multilingual. Clearly you have this. What's going on in the Iron Studios right now is in Portuguese, right? And they're
that's right.
passionate. They're passionate about this product, right? Even though it's technically an American product, they're very passionate about it.
Well, yeah, it's huge. I mean, just think about their when they have their CCXP convention. They get the biggest crowds of any pop culture
Yeah,
style convention in the world. And
that's
they
right.
get, along with that, they get some of the best guests. Like they had 2 years ago when Wonder Woman 84 was coming out, they had Gal Gadot, what's the cheetah actress? I forget her name.
Christian Wiig.
Kristen Wiig, and the director Patty Jenkins were all there, and they showed, the world premiere of the trailer at CCXP because it's such a big event. So I mean, yeah, the Brazilian fans are very passionate about pop culture.
Music too. They could fill up stadiums of 100, 150,000, to see their concerts, and they love it.
auto racing as well.
That's true.
Yeah, actually, the owner of the Iron Studios is a race car driver himself, Renan Pizzi.
It's the greatest race car driver ever is from Brazil.
Ayrton Senna?
Senna is the best race car driver.
Well, they have an Ayrton Senna line of 1/10 scale.
I remember you mentioned it. Yeah.
Okay, I think they wrapped it up. So there you have it. Charles, for you, your favorite today, Falcon?
The Falcon, Captain America, Sam Wilson. I think that just, when you see a statue and right away it's like, whoa, that is nice, right?
Yeah.
That got that reaction from me today. I think the other stuff that we saw was nice too, but there was a standardness to it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like, I hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, that one kind of broke the mold a little bit, the Falcon. I'd say that's my favorite too. Gina, what do you think?
I was really impressed with that Falcon, but still I'd go with the Black Panther 1/10. It's very simple, and the detail they put in, the fact that they had the Wakanda sort of city in the base, like a miniature version, the light up feature, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was a very simplistic museum art, sort of artsy, and just the amount of detail they were able to put on that on his costume was outstanding. So that's still my number one, but yeah, a close second would be that Falcon.
Yeah, and lots of Cash Gemini says Domino for him. So there seemed to be something for everybody today, mostly Marvel themed reveals. So there's one more later today, again at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, well, I'll be here.
So we'll be here again. Again, kind of reacting live. We have an idea what they're going to show, but we've never actually seen the statues. So you get our live reaction. We want to hear from you as well. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you guys all a little bit later today.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming by. We'll see you at 3.